What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, the official Cliffy J, and I'm back with another video. And today, I'm gonna be giving you guys another Survivor ranking. In this video, we're gonna be going over the Survivor 48 cast and do a postseason power ranking. And I also got a special guest with me on this one.
Hey guys, it's your girl Honestly, and thanks again, Cliffy J, for inviting me to the channel. I'm happy to be here with you all. Let's get into the rankings.
And at number 18 on the official Cliffy J ranking, I've got Stephanie. And Stephanie I didn't really see much from her as a game player. She didn't really have much of a strategic game. Obviously, she wants to just be kumbaya and be friends and be nice and talk no strategy, which that just doesn't work for the new era. It doesn't work.
I think everybody that watched this season would be giving the same person number 18, which is Stephanie. I'm completely with you with putting Stephanie at number 18. She had no alliances except Mary, and she thought Stay was crazy for actually trying to play the game. I'm definitely happy that she went home first because she would have brought no entertainment value.
Hey, let's move on to number 17. At number 17, this one was very debatable for me, and I really went back and forth. I got Charity. And that's because only she only had Mitch as an alliance. She never went to tribal pre merge. So that's really the only reason she survived. She would have went home for sure. No one really liked her in the game. So chopped, obviously.
I can agree. I can understand why you put Charity there. My number 17 is a little bit different. I put Justin for my number 17, and I will give you guys some reasoning. The reasoning why I put Justin is because he had it kind of made in the shade. If you ask me, he had a great alliance, and he also had many other like moves that he could have made as far as alliances. He could have went with Kevin and Mary, and he could have went with Cedric, and Say or whatever. But he also chose to ruined the relationship between Cedric and him, which ultimately ruined his game, which I don't think was a good move. So overall, I just don't think Justin would have even made a better move had he had more time.
And at number 16, I've got Star. And this one took some long and hard consideration, but I've got a huge tier. Like, cause those are definitely the worst two, but I got a huge tier with a decent amount of players that are all in the same tier. And I just think Star ranges out as the worst for me personally, because I'm just looking at the fact that she was in the game for such a long time, and that doesn't make me think highly of you more. For me personally, people can say whatever they want. Oh, but a person can have third place and have literally no control, no alliances, no relationships, be literally hated by the jury, all types of stuff. That doesn't mean they're better than someone that went home in any placement. That doesn't mean anything to me personally, obviously. So Star was a chaotic player from the start. She came in looking for idols and things like that. When she found the idol, Beware Advantage, she told everyone except for one person on the tribe. And just, I don't like the way that she played personally. I don't think there's anything wrong with it 100%. It just wasn't my style of gameplay. So I got to put it all the way down here at number 16.
Okay, I completely understand that. I've got a different number 16, of course. For me, I put Kevin as number 16. Now, the reason why I chose Kevin is because I feel a little bit similar with Kevin as I did with Justin. It's the fact that they both had like similar options and they both were in similar positions, but yet they're the ones that didn't even make it to the merge when they, in my opinion, had the best positioning in the tribe initially.
And at number 15, I've got Bianca. And I wanted to put Bianca higher, but she really didn't do anything in the game that was impressive. The only reason I have her higher than them is because she was able to get into a good partnership with Thomas, even though Thomas had the California girls, and they were able to be a part of the majority alliance at first, even though if they would have went to tribal, I think it would have crumbled on her, obviously with her not having a vote too. And she made that bad mistake with telling Cedric she didn't have a vote, even though she probably should have just let the vote play out. And if she went home, she went home type shit.
I like Bianca.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For my number 15, I've got Star. The reason why I put Star here was a lot of the reason why you had ranked Star where you ranked her. It's just the fact that she was a very chaotic, I think erratic player. Yeah. You're going to go look for idols right away, and you don't even have any alliances with these people. Relationships. You're letting everybody build relationships together, and you're literally the odd man out. Literally. Everybody else has an alliance, and you're literally the only one that's not into it. Yeah. Terrible gameplay. I just feel like Star had no game plan or game direction at all. And now that I even rank her 15, I actually kind of want to rank her behind Stephanie. Man. Literally, she did terrible.
At least like, Stephanie got the social game.
Yeah, like no, but Star no, and that's why Star wasn't that low is because Star was an enjoyable character. She was really funny.
Good character for sure.
And you know,
that definitely could translate in other seasons. Right. That could translate in other seasons. Obviously, this season we're ranking them based off of not just the game they played, but also the skill they displayed. Mm-hmm. So, on paper is on paper. But in action is in action. You look at someone like Star, she got the personality for a game like Survivor, but just her execution wasn't good. That's what it also comes down to. That's why she's not too low on either of our lists at the absolute bottom. And at number 14, I've got Say. And I wanted to put Say higher, of course. And I have her this high because she was able to make people do some of the dumbest stuff we've ever seen in Survivor almost. I'm be real. At the end of the day, Justin and Cedric completely crushed their entire chances at winning the game working with this girl. So I got to give her credit there. And she was able to, find advantages. Find advantages. Find advantages, gangster that stuff from Charity. Like, I got to give her some right there for sure.
I think that was probably my favorite part of the season when Say had literally, like you said, gangsta that idol or advantage, whatever it was. For my next player on my rankings, I actually put Charity on here. I think Charity is kind of like Star, where they got lucky to be in a tribe that didn't lose. Because had your tribes lose, had Siva or Logie lost, they were the first ones to go. Yeah. Charity would have been the first one to go. Mm-hmm. She thought she had a read on the game, thought she was controlling David, and David did not like you at all. Mm-hmm. It's just like I don't get it. She was a terrible player. I am so sorry. Yeah, not much to say about Charity.
And at number 13 on the official CliffyJay power ranking, I've got Mitch. And that might be low for Mitch for some people, but I ain't glazing this dude, bruh. I ain't glazing this dude. This dude here watched the game play by him. That's chopped, bruh. And on top of the fact he watched the game play by him, he also set himself up really terribly with the fact that in the pre-merge, he aligned with the social pariah of the tribe. What are you doing, Mitch? You're cooking yourself.
The next player who's going to be in my slot 13 is Bianca. Honestly, I don't have too much that I can say about her game that was wrong, except I do think it was a bad idea to tell Cedric. The fact that she almost had it being, a 2-2 and she would have been the only one safe damn near, and she fumbled that bag, I think that was a bad move, and which is why I have to rank her here. Other than that, Bianca did a decent job at integrating with her tribe and at least getting connections with people like Thomas. And, the swap is really why she went home overall. And the swap and her giving out too much information is why she went home.
And at number 12, I've got Chrissy. And Chrissy's game started and kind of ended with that early pre-merge alliance that her, David, Kyle, and Camilla had. She kind of rode that thing until they got to the merge. Because, yeah, she had Cedric and, Mitch, and they had some power over there. But they kind of rode that thing out till they got to the merge. And it was over there. It was really over there. Kyle had to control Joe, and that whole strong alliance had to control. And she kind of was just cannon fodder to a certain extent. She was gone before the wind.
And the next person that I'm going to rank for number 12, I am putting Say. And with Say, for me, she was a very entertaining player. So I loved her as a viewer. But when we're ranking her as far as a player and game style, she really has improvement to be made. I really think she had a lot of qualities like Rome, where they hit the ground running, and I feel like they didn't really plan out their game in advance to try to figure out what's going to be the next pathway or the best steps. I also feel like Say was good at building relationships. We see she was in the main dominant alliance at the beginning, but I think she personally tanked her own game by being such a chaotic player that she is.
And at number 11, I've got Mary. And Mary's this high mainly just because she didn't make really many mistakes. Only real mistake that she made was obviously aligning with Stephanie instead of, aligning herself with Say and stuff like that, I would say. That's really it. Other than that, I think that she played a pretty good game. Not anything stellar, not anything terrible. She was able to integrate onto her swap tribe pretty well, especially when you know the context that she was actually closer to Eva than David was to Eva. So she definitely did her thing early. I mean, in the middle of the game, that middle portion, she showed some promise.
Well, I am going to be speaking about Mary soon, but she's actually not my next player that I'm ranking. I'm actually going to be ranking her tribe mate, and that is going to be Cedric. Overall, I feel like it almost feels like Cedric played the game blind at some points. It's like he was in a very good position and he screwed it all up. He screwed it up in every possible way that he could. He could have had a three-way boys alliance with Kevin, Justin, and himself, and actually been with a player like Kevin that has some strategic ability and guide him in the right direction. But instead, like I said, Cedric likes to play the game blind, and he made terrible decisions to put him in a bad spot. Now, the reason why he's not at the earlier part of the rankings, like his initial tribe mates, is because I feel like Cedric had a very strong social game. I mean, we can see that by how good of a relationship he had with everybody on his original tribe. We can see that because he had a great relationship with Bianca, Chrissy, and Mitch. They all three liked him, and they had just known him for a few days. So I do feel like his strength is his social game.
And at number 10, I've got Cedric. And for me, Cedric is a very difficult player to rank. I think he could be 3 or 4 spots lower, or like 2 spots higher. Like that's kind of what it comes down to because he has the placement that's not bad, obviously, but he also clearly had, as she said, a very strong social game, and this is a social game, and that's something that is very translatable. Usually, the social game is the most translatable part of people's games. So, though he wasn't the best strategic player or physical player, I'm gonna give him a little leg up over all them bottom feeders because he has that ability socially.
Oh, wow. I think it's absolutely comical how you have Mary and Cedric ranked, and I have them ranked flipped order. So, my next person that I'm ranking for number 10 is actually going to be Mary, who's your number 11. For Mary, I personally feel like of course she didn't start off with a good game, and actually when we think about it, she never had a good game at all if we really want to think about it. I personally don't think Mary had a good game. I think Mary got lucky, and her social ability is what helped her. But anyways, to get back to my point of why I ranked Mary at number 10 is because I think Mary made a good decision by realizing who she was dealing with and saying that she could trick her original tribe, which ends up getting her to the merge. Excuse me, which ends up getting her to the tribe swap. And then Mary did have social skills in order to build a relationship with David, where he did feel David and Eva, actually. Let's not forget about that. David and Eva, which is ultimately what even pulled Mary as far as she got into the game. was because of those relationships with them two. So I think, like I said, with Mary overall, she made a good move here and there, but it was more based on luck to why she got that far.
And at number 9, I've got Kevin. Excuse me. And at number
That's
9,
cute.
I've got Kevin. And you know, the kid made a mistake. Listen, the kid made a mistake, but to me, it was very logical to go for Say at that point. I don't give a fuck. I don't care what nobody say. I don't care. I think that was a very logical move to go for Say at that point. So obviously it backfired on him. Oh well. Everybody on this entire cast made a move that backfired on them, basically. Not every single person, but everyone we named so far has made bigger, dumber, been dumber, shown dumber, and just are dumber in terms of gameplay. So gotta put Kevin right there. That's really what it comes down to.
Okay, my next person that I'm going to rank for number 9, I'm going to keep it how it is. I was going to change it up. I'm going to do Thomas for number 9. For me, I feel like Thomas was in a very strong position, and Thomas played a very great game. He was very trusted by Bianca. He had the California Girls Alliance, which was very strong. And literally, only because of things that were out of his control is why he went home. Yeah, he could have possibly played his advantage, and that may have saved him. But overall, Thomas didn't necessarily make a wrong move to go home. So, yeah, I feel like Thomas can be ranked this high for me, even though he went home early, because he showed a lot of potential. And I feel like we were missing that villain type character this season.
And at number 8, I've got Justin. And you could definitely swap Justin, Cedric, and Kevin. I think they're pretty interchangeable. But I'm gonna go ahead and put Justin the highest, just based off the fact that I think his mistake, and he was able to last a little bit longer, and he had a better grasp socially on the fact that he was closer to these players than Kevin was. I lean towards Justin, and I put Justin in this spot because he had good alliances. He was doing just fine in that regard. He just didn't tell Cedric that he didn't have a vote, which with Cedric, it's really damned if you do, damned if you don't. So I don't know. I mean, I wasn't on the island, but from what we've seen, you can't trust Cedric with any information because he's just emotionally all over the place, strategically all over the place, and that's what it comes down to, shorty.
The next person I'm going to rank is Mitch. I really loved him as a person, and I really think that he had a really good social game. From what the show shows us, it's he was a jury threat. So that shows that, he made it far in the game and he could have had a chance at winning $1 million.
And at number 7, I've got Thomas, and I think Thomas is the beginning of the actually good players. I think this is a pretty top heavy cast, and Thomas is someone that was just booted much earlier than he was supposed to. That's what it comes. Well, was supposed to be with Thomas. He had a solid social game to be able to get integrated into the Dominant Alliance on his starting tribe. He also had a very good relationship with Bianca and Shaheen to the point where they both called him their number ones at points in the game. And that is very important for me to make this pitch that he is this great player that I'm portraying to be in the top 7, right? On top of the fact that he did have his advantage, he probably should have used it. Yeah, okay. But you also got to understand he was in a situation where they weren't supposed to know he had an advantage, but they did. Right? He was trying to play it way differently, which you can blame him for that. But it's also how were you supposed to know there was for sure going to be a swap in the new era when they just up and down that shit? Like, you feel me? He was playing like to me, he played like there was no swap. So you can knock him for that if you want to, but I think he played just fine. And I think that he showed a lot of cutthroat nature that you need in this game. Like he was willing to just why don't we just make it disappear? You know? Why don't we just make it disappear? Like all that, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna get this person. The one thing that make you get a little shook up. Oh, now I'm gonna go after you. Like he's a very cutthroat player, cutthroat personality, and I like the guy. I like the guy.
Ranked number 7, I've got David. I think David overall played a pretty decent game from what we can see. David does seem like somebody who has like a switch. It seems like at the beginning of the game, he was all sweet, nice, happy, go lucky. And then it's like post merge, he started looking, like he did at tribal council when Mary was going home. And that's just the look that he had from post merge, excuse me, from the merge to the end of the game. Like, so I just feel like he changed a little bit, but overall, I think his social game was still pretty decent to get him to the position that he was. And although he had suspected a lot of different things, I think he had a pretty decent read on the game. And I think he just kind of chose to share that information with the wrong people. I think David on another season might actually do better knowing, kind of like how to socially operate and how to communicate with different types of people, because the way that he communicated with Joe is exactly why he went home. Joe and Kyle is exactly why he went home. Kyle, whatever you need to be.
Um, the next player, I mean, at number 6, I've got David, and for me, I think that it's some people that just have the natural skill in Survivor, and I think that that's where we're getting at this point. These next players either have the natural skill or they're just very good at the game of Survivor, based off watching it and things like that. David is somebody that I look at him as a a baseline, well-rounded individual in the game. He understands basic strategy. He understands how to grow some bonds. At least he grows good relationships with Eva, with Kyle, with Mary. So he is good at that aspect of the game. On top of the fact that he's clearly a physical beast, he has crazy strength and crazy endurance. Some people want somebody that's going to be a little less aggressive. That's what it could come down to. But from what I've seen, I think that David's a pretty rational player, very well rounded, and I got to have him this high on the list, man. And at number 5, I debated long and hard about this one, but I've got Eva. And I got Eva at number 5 simply based off really the edit. Because if you listen to them like postseason, she probably should be above my number 4 and maybe even above my number 3. But at the end of the day, what we were able to see on the island was she was very close to Joe. Joe was the more dominant player. She kind of played the sidekick game in terms of like the brains of the alliance. As Kyle said, the brains of the alliance was considered Shaheen. So she kind of just played she was like the heart, kind of like the, fun player that was just probably more of a social player that also was good physically, but I don't really gauge much strategically from Eva. So, in my opinion, I do think Eva is a very good player, even off of what we've seen on the island. You could tell they were trying to give her more Dodo content as it went on to make her seem more goofy. I don't know why they want their runner up to seem that way, but I guess they were trying to push the autism storyline. But at the end of the day, I see a lot of skill from Eva, so I'm gonna go ahead and have her at number 5.
For my number 5, I have the same person. I have Eva as well. I think Eva overall played a pretty decent game. She was a part of that strong five, and like I feel like the two duos plus another player that I'll be ranking shortly was like the top 5 best players in the game. The reason why I put Eva as number 5, so basically the worst out of that top 5, is because I feel like her game, it didn't 100% rely on Joe, but it does feel like it was a good part of the game, because at the end of the day, yes, she was close to people like Mary, and she did originally get close with David. Joe was feeding her some information and bringing to her different moves. And like she's even said herself, he brought certain moves to her and she got to decide whether she wanted to make it, which we all know those haven't always been the best moves, but at least she was put in that position to make those moves. But then again, like I said, it relied mainly on Joe, I feel like.
And at number 4, I've got Shaheen. And I got Shaheen at number 4, though I do think he is a very solid player who, if they gave him a different edit, I think everyone would look at him as the dragon that he truly was in the game. he showed a lot of promise throughout the entire game. If we look early pre-merge, he had the California girls, a very strong relationship with Thomas. He had a really strong relationship with Joe. He obviously ended the game with a strong enough relationship with Eva to make it all the way to the final five. I mean, final six. So I think, and obviously, even in that strong five, strong six, or whatever, he was probably the weakest competitor out of the group, and he was still well integrated, still well insulated, and still a part of the decision making. Not the main decision maker, of course, but he was still a part of the decision making and still a valued member of the group. While also being able to work on his jury management and have a little bit of relationships on the side with the bottom feeder, out of the majority players too. So I think it's a lot of promise in Shaheen. He also does have a solid physical game, though he was the worst in the alliance. You just go.
Physically the worst in the alliance. I can agree with that when it comes to the strong five. All right, so I got Shaheen for number 4. I think Shaheen was a really great player. Like from the first episode, I was like, "Oh, this dude is gonna do good." I just got really great vibes from him. And then, like maybe episode 2, a little bit further after, you kind of get that view on the edit that okay, he's probably not the winner. I feel like Shaheen had a great social game, which was one of his strengths, and he was good at building connections, and he put himself in a really strong position. But I do feel like he could have maybe pulled the trigger first, and he could have, had that win. The jury, he was a great contender when it comes to the jury, and he possibly could have won the whole thing. So yeah, I want to rank him high because he overall had a good game, and it was just not making a move quick enough that really costed him the game.
It costed him the game, huh, lad? It costed him the game. Um, at number 3, I debated very tough about this because my number 3 really shot up in my mind when I went and looked back at everything. But I'm gonna have Camilla. That was crazy. I still said Joe, even though I switched him. But yeah, I'm gonna have not even switched him. I always had Joe. What am I saying? I switched him. No, I always had Joe. Always had Joe's back. I don't know. Camilla almost got me though when I look back at everything. I almost got it, almost flipped up a little bit, but no, I got Camilla at number 3, and this just comes from the fact that she wasn't in the Power Alliance like logistically. From a to a certain extent, she was voting with them and stuff like that. I think she's a very very good player, but at the end of the day, like Kyle, her and Kyle worked together the entire game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pre-merge, a lot of people give Camilla a lot of credit for Kyle's game for some odd reason because of the dumb edit, right? But when you look at what actually transpires in these tribals and stuff like that, they both had to pull their little acting off or whatever. But he's the one that had to play the idol on himself. Engage, oh, should I play my idol or not? On myself or on her type shit. He's well playing on myself or on her. He had to gauge that. He was the one that the edit showed deciphering that, okay, based on what they're telling me, I know they're definitely voting for me. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I think that Camilla played a very good second in command type of game, but that puts you in a different tier but this is the thing that makes her an elite player is because her strategy was based around being in this duo. And if that's your strategy, the amount of agency and control you have doesn't just go hand in hand with strategy. She got agency and control from being aligned with the power player and having a lot of influence over the weaker players. So Camilla is an elite player. Camilla is very good,
Mm-hmm.
but she fell short of my number 2 slot.
I couldn't agree more. I think it was something that I sort of debated as well after like the high of the tribal council and the finale. I think it was a finale high that kind of made me think, oh, is she going to be, number 2? But no, for number 3, I have Camilla. I couldn't agree more with everything that you said about her. I think Camilla played a great game overall. Like the fact that the jury even would have voted for her and numerous people up on the jury had raised their hands to the point where she could have possibly had a win if she would have made it there. That shows right there the game that Camilla played. Like Cliffy J said, she not only was getting the insight from Kyle from the Strong Alliance, but she was also playing with the bottom feeders and they trusted her as well. So she really knew the ins and outs of the game, and that's how she could maneuver in the game, which would have given her the position to make better moves. But I think obviously like what she worked with in the at the end of the day, she worked with what she had and she came out with a great position at the end of it. And I think Camilla did good with the cards that she was dealt.
At number two,
For me and you.
I think
Just
it's
kidding.
pretty obvious. I think we know who the top two are at this point and who number one is. Number one is obvious number one. I don't think it's really a question. If you feel the other way, then you was probably just an edit writer, edit gawker. You feel me? So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put Joe Hunter at number two. I got Joe Hunter at number two, just mainly because Gunther. No, I got Joe Hunter at number two, just mainly because when I'm looking at his overall ability in the game, it's so high, bro. I don't know how we're not able to, even with him getting third, goat, he was a goat. He wasn't really a goat. Kyle just kind of schooled him at the end. That's really what it came down to. Kyle just kind of schooled him at the end, and Eva, talked a little bit and got some women's votes. It wasn't really Aura like that. I'm sorry. She didn't, I mean, she cooked a little bit. Joe didn't get a lot of edit, but you could tell Joe actually did decent in his final tribal. Y'all just trying to make it seem like he was up there getting fraud checked. He got fraud checked before final tribal, so what are you talking about? Right? Like, let's be real. The end of the day, the fact of the matter is that Kyle is one of those guys. He's one of those dudes. Joe got potential to be one of those dudes. He just has to, as he said in his interview, not really be, coming to the game with one set strategy. He came into the game trying to play honest and loyal, and he cultivated that strategy for most of the cast. Most of the cast tried to do honest and loyalty and tried to rock with his alliance the way that they did stuff because of his social game and his and Eva's ability to get people to feel close to them and also want to work with them, but then also be scared of them, all this different type of stuff. And like he said, I'm the dude in the alliance. I'm banging out all these challenges. You want to keep me around, keep it out of their little grimy fingers. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, he got so much skill in the game that even if I feel like Camilla played a slightly better game than him, slightly cleaner game, which I don't think, he has the leg up with the fact that he's a more well-rounded player, a more dangerous player, in my opinion. In my opinion. Camilla's the more sneaky, snaky. Oh, catch you when you lacking, bruh. You got to get caught when you lacking by Camilla. Joe got to be lacking for you to catch him. It's a difference, bruh. It's a difference. And that's what it comes down to.
Now, for my number two, it's the same as you. I like to rhyme. It's not a crime. But, anyways, okay, for number two, I have Joe. I think Joe played a pretty good game overall. I mean, yeah, the edit kind of force fed us into liking Joe and seeing the good in him, but it's also the fact that he was just an overall good guy and a good person. And I think that's why everyone on the island loved him so much because of who he was. And Joe was himself to the bitter end. He didn't give a damn about how anybody felt. He was going to be real and be him. And I think that's also what made people like him. Um, Now, with Joe, I feel like the winner did pull the wool over his head numerous times. Joe was fooled numerous times. So that's why he can't be number one, because number one fooled you. But other than that, I mean, the way that nobody would get rid of Joe and the way that everybody thought Joe was going to win, that right, and his immunity streak, like we can't forget that either. Joe has so many different components and reasons to be ranked number two. That's just a few.
Yeah, and I even want to continue on a little bit more about Joe. The thing that is so impressive to me is exactly what you said. He had the jury thinking that he was the front runner, even when Kyle was probably playing the better game at the time, right? On top of the fact that it's literally one or two moves that he made differently, and he probably sweeps the jury. Genuinely, it changed the entire perception of the jury. One or two moves. That's based off of his insanely great social game.
Yeah, you can't say that.
And at number one, I've got Kyle. Certainly one of the best winners of the new era. It's been a hot topic right now. Everyone's been talking about it. D versus Kyle versus Jam Jam. You know what I'm saying? So I actually did make a video on that recently. So you guys go make sure you check that out. It'll be in the description and it'll be right here. Hopefully I'll remember to put some on the screen. If it's there, go click, go watch that video, and then come back and finish me talking about Kyle. You feel me? But yeah, no, at the end of the day, Kyle, great socially, immaculate socially. Played an insanely great social game. If he didn't have a great social game, wouldn't have been in the position that he was with all these different players. Great strategic game, had a lot of agency, and he was very impressive in the challenges, especially the first one to establish himself after playing an idol, and then the last one to establish himself into the final three to be able to win the game and pitch his game to the jury and get rid of his biggest jury threat, which was Camilla. Boom. You want to say that fast?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with Cliffy J. I've got Kyle as number one, but of course, if you don't have Kyle as number one, I don't know what you're thinking. Even though the edit tried to force us to like Joe and believe in only Joe having the abilities and the social abilities and strategic abilities, we seen through Kyle's edit that he had the best strategic game. He was never once in danger at all outside post merge. He was never once in danger at all post merge, which is extremely impressive. There was not one time that I felt like Kyle was going to go home or that he was not going to make it to the end. Kyle made sure that he had his avenues paved out for him, and he also made sure that even though he was going to the end with somebody who was looked at as a bigger jury threat than him, that he would make sure that he does all of his correct moves to be able to kick Joe's ass in the final tribal council, which he did.
Shama. That is the end of today's video, guys. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. And y'all let us know, do you guys agree with our power rankings? How would you change? And how are your rankings looking to end this season? Peace out, dog.